Footy fans, welcome to our first episode. My name is Liam and I've got Benji with me, and we will be talking about today's football world. So, Benji, I think we should start talking about Chelsea. They've got their transfer window has been, I think, fantastic. To be fair, they're really trying to make a statement, don't you think?
Yeah, they have been very good on it.
Obviously, they've already confirmed the signings of Werner and Ziyech just in as well. They've secured the signing of Chilwell, which is in itself makes a fantastic statement. They've got Thiago Silva on a medical, and the Malang Sarr as a free agent as well. Honestly, I think they've done really well with their transfers. And I think they could be winning the league next season. Do you think, Benji?
Yeah, I also think so. And I have just completed the signing of Javier and Mbuyamba from Barcelona Academy, a centre back that are compared to Virgil van Dijk.
Oh, fair enough. Obviously, as well, on top of the people that they've already confirmed and the people that they're rumoured with, another key one, Havertz. There's been around for a while now. Is supposed to probably have come with Werner and Ziyech, but it's recently looking more and more likely. I think Ziyech, Werner and Chilwell will be fantastic for Chelsea, because it's just like, obviously Liverpool bossed it last season. There was no one really competing with them. Obviously they had the shock loss to Watford, but I just don't think anyone will be able to compete with Chelsea now.
Yeah, and even the Kai Havertz news is we just waiting for him. Here we go from Fabrizio Romano, and the fee is around 80 million euros plus 20 million add-ons.
Yeah, so they've spent a lot of money for a club that's recently not really spent money. Obviously, they had the transfer ban just before they brought Christian Pulisic, and they weren't really able to do anything. So Frank Lampard did well with what he was given, but now that they've been able to make the transfers, I think they've spent the money they need to spend, and I think Frank Lampard could be bringing them back to normal. But the problem with all the transfers that I'm seeing is squad harmony. So are they going to be able to keep the changing rooms good? Because if they've brought in so many new players, a couple of people will be like, "Well, I've been here for a while. Why are we getting replaced?" So
yeah.
Obviously, Werner coming through takes Olivier Giroud's spot, who did well last season. Jorginho and Kovacic were possibly two of the most underrated midfielders in the Prem last season, and they've just brought in Ziyech. As much as they're good players, do they need them? Is the problem.
Yes, and then they have sold Eden Hazard for around 100 million euros, Morata for around 60 million, and Marco Pasalic for 20 million euros to Atalanta.
Nice. Well, yeah, obviously they needed money from somewhere, so they had to obviously made it. Eden Hazard was a season ago, but obviously, like I said a while ago, they had the transfer ban, so they probably had that money just stored up for when they could spend that money.
Yes, and from Chelsea we go to new transfer news. Rodrigo from Valencia have just signed for Leeds for around 25 million euros. And Gabriel is just waiting for an announcement from Arsenal. And then we have Izzy from Queen's Park Rangers that goes to Palace for around 50 mil. Same here, we just waiting for an announcement. And then Weston McKennie, Juve, he goes to Juventus on loan with an option to buy in 18 million euros. What do you think about that?
I mean, the signing Leeds have made in Rodrigo, I think, is fantastic, because he was playing Champions League football, and Leeds have just been obviously just promoted for the first time in 20 odd years, and obviously I think that signing for Leeds is fantastic, because it really does make a statement for the Premier League, because they have a couple of players that I know, but obviously being a Championship club, I haven't really followed Leeds. But now bringing in Rodrigo, I think that's a fantastic signing for them. In Izzy, I don't think he's worth 50 million, as much as a good player, but I don't see why Crystal Palace has spent 50 million on him. I think you could have got him for around 30 million tops, but it's a good signing for Crystal Palace. If they lose, obviously, Zaha, he's been rumoured to go to elsewhere for a couple of seasons. But all in all, obviously McKennie's up and coming youngster, so I think that could be good for Juve. But all in all, I think Rodrigo tips the bunch there. He's a very good signing for Leeds, considering it's quite relatively cheap for him as well. But yeah, I just don't. I think Leeds have really made a good signing there.
Yeah, but Rodrigo have just played 27 matches with 4 goals and 7 assists. That isn't the best for a striker who plays in La Liga and the Champions League.
That's a good point. Obviously, you would want goals for a striker, but it all depends on the playing style that Leeds are planning to do. Obviously, he's a fast striker, so if you play on that counter attack, I can see him scoring many goals for Leeds. I think, obviously, yeah, like you said, only 4 goals last season. It's not the best, but he's a proven striker. I think he'll do well in the Premier League. And like I said again, it makes a statement for Leeds because he's a Champions League striker, and Leeds aren't in the Champions League, Europa League. They've just been promoted, so it's a big chance for Rodrigo and Leeds to make a statement in the Premier League and prove their worth.
Yeah, and he's like 28 years old, which is very good. So he can play 4 years too, then go to Spain and retire. So good signing for Leeds for 30 mil. And then we go over to another Premier League team that name is Everton. They have been in contact with Doucouré, James Rodriguez, and Alan. One of the best, like if they get someone of this, it's a very good transfer for Everton. All 3 midfielders, 2 of them are more defensive. What do you think about that?
I mean, obviously, I'm a Watford supporter myself, so I know how good Doucouré can be. How much they're offering, I think, though, it's probably fair, to be honest, because Doucouré last season wasn't the best for us, but he can be very good, and that could be a very good signing for Everton. In terms of the other 2, Allen's obviously a very good midfielder. He was managed under Everton's manager last season, Carlo Ancelotti. So I think, again, that would be quite good. Who was the other person, sorry?
James Rodriguez from Real Madrid.
That would be a fantastic signing. Again, their midfield would just go from like 0 to 100 within just so quickly, because having Doucouré as a defensive midfielder, Allen as that holding, and then James Rodriguez pushing forward, that's a fantastic midfield. I just don't think that would be. I think that would be one of the best midfields in the league, because it just works well together. Although, to be fair, if you think about it, 3 different leagues and 3 different countries, so I don't know how the chemistry would be between them.
James Rodriguez haven't played so much this season, but when he is in his prime, he's very good.
Yeah, to be fair, James Rodriguez can be a class player at some points. Obviously, he was a key bit in Real Madrid a couple of years ago. He went on loan to Bayern Munich and didn't do as much, but he was still quite good for them. And obviously went back to Real Madrid, and he hasn't really played much season, I don't think. So obviously it can be a bit of a stretch to try and sign him. Obviously, I don't know how much he'll go for, but it could be a good signing. It could be a terrible signing. They've just got to take a punt on him, to be fair. Yeah, I think the other 2 are quite good signings. Doucouré's average at best, depending on what one wants to show up, because when he signed for Watford, I remember he was very good. He could hold up the ball well, and he was a relatively good finisher. And again, in terms of Allen, he's Champions League football. He's a world-class centre mid, in my opinion. He's just not been noticed enough.
You are a Watford supporter. What will you say that Doucouré is worth? How much?
Well, obviously, getting relegated takes a hit on how much we'll get him for. If we were still in the Prem, I'd say 50 million. But now we're in the Championship, I'd hope we could sell him for at least 30. Because as much as he didn't do well for us last season, he's a fantastic player. And I would want enough. I would want a decent amount of money for him, because he was a good player in his prime for us.
Yes, and then you think about Nathan Ake, that goes to City for around 40 million euros. He was worth, I think, 60 million, 55 million from Bournemouth, but when they get relegated, they need to sell him because he is a top-class player like Doucouré.
Yeah. Well, to be fair, if Bournemouth didn't get relegated, he would. I don't know if he would have stayed or not, but if he did go, he would have been for about 70 million. I would have thought. But obviously, getting relegated takes a hit on whatever player's value is. Even still, though, 40 million for a Championship player, as much as he is world class, I think City could have gone 30 million and saved 10 million on him, because it's just obviously a Championship player. You would like to save money, and that's why I think. The Crystal Palace easy signing was a bit too much, because it's Queen's Park Rangers 50 million. It's just a bit too much. But obviously, I don't know. It's good and bad at the same time, I'd say.
Yeah, I understand. But now we go to another Premier League team with name of Man United. As we've seen, Harry Maguire I think he's been sent in jail for 21 months, if I'm right.
I've seen that he pleaded not guilty, and I think there's been no charges put on. That's what I saw, but obviously they might change. I'm not quite sure.
Yeah, so he ain't going to be the captain for Man U. So who's going to be it? Victor Lindelof, David De Gea, Dean Henderson, Paul Pogba, Bruno Fernandes. Who do you think is going to be the captain?
It's hard to say, honestly, because they haven't really got anyone there that's a leader, in my opinion. Harry Maguire was there. I think he was the biggest leader there. Obviously, he's had experience as he's a Premier League champion. He played for England. I honestly think Juan Mata would probably be next in line, having a lot of experience in himself, and I think he could be. Scott McTominay, I think, has a good chance, because if you see him in a game, he's very demanding. He's a very good leader on the pitch. So I would say probably Scott McTominay or Juan Mata, in my opinion.
Yeah, I understand. Juan Mata, I think he ain't going to play so much, because when they got Greenwood, Pogba, Bruno Fernandes, Martial and Rashford, it's just too good. I think, personally, Scott McTominay, or I think Victor Lindelof, because in Sweden, Lindelof is very good at him and the other centre back, Granqvist, who plays with him. They are very good at talking. So Sweden have a very good side with the leaders. They have 5 leaders in the team. So Scott McTominay or Lindelof. That means you need to focus on who's starting always. Lindelof's going to start more than Scott McTominay for me, because Fred haven't been the best, but he's still in the same level for me that McTominay.
I mean, when they signed Fred, I think everyone expected too much of him. Because he signed and didn't really make that much of an impact, and then the hype sort of died down, and everybody realised he was just relatively average. So I don't think Fred will be captain, if you think about it.
Nah, I don't think so too. But so we are done with that thing. Now it's to you, Liam. The England squad call up. Down to you.
Obviously, I think overall the team that he picked is a good team. It's very young, I saw, but I think the biggest thing about it now, Maguire has been removed because of what's just happened. Maguire's just gone. They've said he's not coming to the World Cup. I'm not quite sure. Not the World Cup, sorry, not been called up for the squads. I'm not quite sure who's replaced him. But what I thought is missing quite a bit is Aaron Wan-Bissaka and Grealish has not been called up, which I thought was quite a shock, because Aaron Wan-Bissaka is possibly one of the best fullbacks in the Prem at the moment, in my opinion. Obviously, there's a big debate over who's better, Aaron Wan-Bissaka and Trent. I think Trent's a better fullback going forwards, but as a defender, I genuinely think Aaron Wan-Bissaka is the best in the Premier League. Grealish, obviously, I think is a bit hit and miss, so I can half understand why he's not been called up, but he's still probably one of the better defenders in the Prem at the moment. Definitely the most underrated, I would say. But Phillips and Greenwood have been called up. Phillips playing for Leeds and Greenwood playing for Manchester United. Both one's just been promoted to the Prem, and one of them being 18 years old. I don't know if Greenwood is ready. I think Phillips is good enough, but then again, if you could choose between Phillips and Grealish, I think I'd choose Grealish. But honestly, I'm not sure if Greenwood is ready for national football. But your opinion on that?
Yeah, the same with the right back position. They just picked Kyle Walker and Trent, versus
Yeah.
saying you can pick Reece James there. They have so many good right backs, but Reece James is called up for the under 21s, so he can't be picked, and that's the thing. I think that under 21s, I think you can be 18 to 22 years old to play there.
Yeah.
I would personally say that Greenwood should starting playing in the under 21s this season, or what you call it. So the next call up they play, I think I would pick him because I don't think he has that much experience like Grealish would have. Because Grealish, I think, is play offensive attacking midfielder,
Yeah.
and Greenwood is playing mostly on the right. And then for me, Phillips isn't like, I know he's very, very strong and good. He's good at the defensive midfielder. And yeah, the same. He have Declan Rice that can play on his position, and James Ward-Prowse, and
Yeah.
Harry Winks. Yeah,
I think obviously Jordan Henderson as well. I think he's captain of England, or Harry Kane is, isn't he? So I think I don't see why Phillips has been called up when we've already got about 3 or 4 different players who play in his position. I'm fairly sure as well we haven't actually picked a left back. We've got a load of right backs and centre backs, but there's no full on left backs that have been picked. So I don't see what's going to happen there. Whether we play 3 at the back or whether we play Joe Gomez at left back or something, I don't know. But we haven't picked a left back, which I don't see why, to be honest.
yeah. Then Michael Keane from Everton is called up, and I don't know if Henderson have been stopped playing with the national team, but he isn't picked.
Is Jordan Henderson
And
not
Harry
picked?
Winks, no, he isn't.
Oh, I didn't see that.
Harry Winks is picked. That's the most question for me. I ain't knowing this, and Eric Dyer too.
I think I can see why Eric Dyer's been called up.
Yeah,
I know a
a
lot of
bit.
people. I know a lot of people don't rate him, but I think he's a very good holding midfielder. I think he's very underrated in the Premier League, and people just look at him as a bit of a joke. The fact that Harry Winks has been called up over Jordan Henderson, I haven't a clue why that's happened. Harry Winks didn't really play much last season, or he wasn't really a big hit. He wasn't like he didn't do much as much as I know. Like they had Ericsson, and then he left, and then I don't think they had much of a midfield. Sorry, so I don't see why Jordan Henderson hasn't been picked and Harry Winks has, because I don't think Harry Winks has the ability that Jordan Henderson has in terms of leadership and in terms of like holding that midfield. Because like if you see Liverpool without Jordan Henderson and Liverpool with Jordan Henderson, their style is very, very, very different. And you can see that they struggle without that leader on the pitch, because when they played Watford, Jordan Henderson didn't play. And you could see like they struggled a little bit because they didn't have that leader on the pitch. And they were just all over the place. So obviously England isn't Liverpool, but I don't see why Jordan Henderson hasn't been called up.
Yeah, I understand, but Henderson isn't picked as you said versus Watford. He didn't play versus Chelsea in the FA Cup and versus Atletico in the Champions League.
So
So
yeah.
before we stop this video, we're just going to talk about the attack, the attacking. Yeah. So Mason Mount and Tammy Abraham, the Chelsea guy, has been picked. Then Phil Foden, Raheem Sterling from Manchester City, Jadon Sancho from Borussia Dortmund, Rashford, Kane, and Danny Ings. What do you think about Danny Ings getting picked?
Honestly, I think he deserves it. He did really well last season. He was a contender for the Golden Boot. Honestly, he should be called up. If people argue with it, I don't think they understand much about football, because he scored a lot of goals last season, and I feel like he equals Jamie Vardy. He's just underrated.
Yeah. Should he play for a team like Southampton, or should he go up to a team like playing Europa like Wolves, Leicester, or even going up to Man U?
I mean, he played for Liverpool before he joined Southampton from Liverpool. He didn't do much at Liverpool, so I wouldn't see him go to Wolves, because their aim is to turn it like Portuguese, and their chairman has said they want to go down the Portuguese route. I couldn't really see him playing for anyone other than Southampton. He's better than Southampton, And plus, I don't know how Southampton are going to do this league because they've just lost their captain in Holsberg and because he's gone to Spurs. So I just don't know if he's going to stay or if he's going to go. He could go. I could see him going to Everton. But other than that, I don't know if Danny Ings will stay at Southampton or not.
Yeah, Dennings and I would say Tammy Abraham and Dennings. Tammy Abraham haven't got the best since the break, but Dennings has been good like all the season. Tammy Abraham has been good at the start, and Harry Kane has been injured very much, so he's good when he plays. But if he has been injured so much this season, for me, no, I wouldn't pick it. I mean, it's like in Sweden we pick always Zlatan, even if when he played, even if he has been injured like 2 years in a row, bam, put him in. It's Zlatan.
Yeah, but to be fair, Harry Kane is very. I don't think we have a finisher like Harry Kane in England. I know a lot of people don't like him because of how like slow he is and how pretty much holding he is. But I think a lot of people base their opinion on FIFA. I'm not going to lie. I think Harry Kane is a very good striker. He's a very good goal scorer. I know he wasn't injured. He was injured for a lot of the season, but even if he was injured, like you said, Zlatan for Sweden was just picked because he was Zlatan, and I think Harry Kane could be the same because he's Harry Kane and he can finish, and I don't think a lot of other England players can finish.
Yeah, and when you talk about people basing everything on FIFA, not everything, but very much, it's the same with like the goalkeepers. They say Pickford is better than Dean Henderson because Pickford is 83 rated, Dean Henderson is 75, and Nick Pope is 79. It's like if Chelsea signed Sarr, I think it's going to be like, I think he's 75 right now, FIFA. For the FIFA kids that are 8, they're going to say he's quite bad. And the same with Thiago Silva. He's fast in FIFA. That means he's bad in real life too. But in real life, he's quite fast. And Silva played very well in the Champions League final. He was the best player at the PSG on the defense.
Yeah. I mean, to be fair as well, with FIFA, it's very stupid, I think, because they don't base their overall rating on how they play. They base it on what club they play for. Because Dean Henderson's going back to Man United now, he's going to go from 75 to about 85 just because he plays at United. So I don't think people should base their opinions on FIFA because it changes because of the club that they play for.
And then that's the same with Harry Winks. He's 80 rated. Wow. So he needs to be better than Declan Rice that is 78 rated. For me, I don't know, as I said before, I don't know why Harry Winks is picked of all people you can pick. I would like to pick Tomori instead of him and play Declan Rice at their wings play because Rice can play a bit of attacking, but he's more the defensive guy. And thus Tomori haven't played him much like the last since the break. So yeah, I understand Gareth Southgate's why and who he's picking.
Yeah. Well,
for the English fans, Kieran Trippier, haven't seen him much play this year. Is he good for the ones that support England?
He went to Atletico Madrid, so I haven't really watched him play. I haven't really seen him play. I suppose he's the same as last season. Not last season, as when he last played for England and Tottenham. But I don't know. You've just got to trust it. You can't just got to trust Gareth Southgate on this because he proved he's a good manager in the World Cup, and I honestly just think you've got to trust him with his picks.
Yeah, and the same with Grealish. He can play. He done the most chances in the Premier League, I think, in this season. He's done very many. But when you don't have strikers like Martial, Firmino, Salah, Giroud, Pulisic, you don't get that much goals from it. If he played for Chelsea this season, play at the offensive mid instead of Mason Mount, he would get like I think at least 10 assists. The same with Reece James. Trent played with super attackers. Yeah, Tammy Abraham and Giroud isn't bad, but I would rather play like Salah and Mane than Giroud and Tammy.
Yeah.
I think this is all for the video. If you haven't anything more to say.
No, I'm all done here.
Yeah.
So, all right. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for listening, and we'll be back with another episode soon.
Don't forget to subscribe, like, and commentate. why Harry was picked and who should replace him for you, and who should replace Harry Maguire. So,
Yeah.
see you soon. Goodbye.
Yeah. Bye. See ya. Bye.